Hey everyone, welcome back to Today. You're going to hear an incredible story about a billion-dollar engine that failed for months until a 10-year-old girl and her mechanic father changed everything. You won't believe how a simple observation turned impossible into reality. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment to share your thoughts. Let's get started and see how curiosity, courage, and teamwork made the impossible happen. The state-of-the-art engine lay on the testing platform, gleaming under the bright laboratory lights. Months of research, countless prototypes, and millions of dollars had been poured into it, yet it stubbornly refused to run smoothly. Engineers scratched their heads, recalibrated sensors, and replaced parts, but the engine continued to fail. Every attempt seemed to make the problem worse, and tension in the room was palpable. The project was labeled a disaster waiting to happen, but no one dared admit defeat. It seemed impossible that any solution could exist. Outside their high-tech environment, far away from the sterile labs, a small workshop buzzed with life. Tools clinked against metal, engines purred under careful hands, and a father and daughter worked side by side. Miguel, a skilled mechanic, had spent years teaching his 10-year-old daughter, Sophia, everything he knew about engines. Sophia's curiosity was insatiable. She asked questions about every gear, bolt, and piston. Her eyes sparkled as she observed her father dismantle and rebuild engines with precision. Miguel often told her, "The solution is always there. You just have to see it differently," words that Sophia took to heart every day. One morning, a call arrived from a client who worked at the lab struggling with the failing engine. They had exhausted every approach and were desperate for fresh eyes. Miguel hesitated but agreed to help, deciding to bring Sophia along. He knew her perspective could be surprisingly insightful. Upon arriving, Sophia immediately examined the massive engine, taking notes and asking questions about its design. Her small hands traced patterns along the wiring and pistons, noticing subtle irregularities the engineers had overlooked. She asked about every misfire, every hesitation, every anomaly, piecing together a mental map of the problem. Sophia's observations led her to suggest a minor adjustment to a component that the engineers had assumed was fixed. Her proposal was met with skepticism. After all, she was only 10, and these were top engineers who had devoted years to this project. But Miguel encouraged her and carefully implemented the change under her guidance. As the engine roared to life without a single hiccup, disbelief filled the lab. Months of failure had been solved by a child's insight and a father's trust. The engineers were speechless, realizing that expertise alone wasn't enough. Perspective and creativity were equally crucial. Word of Sophia and Miguel's success spread quickly. News outlets and engineers alike were fascinated by how a father-daughter duo from a modest workshop could solve a problem that had stumped experts for months. The story inspired hope and reminded people that innovation could come from anywhere. Sophia's attention to detail, patience, and fearless curiosity had broken barriers, showing that age and resources were not the limits of creativity. Miguel's pride in his daughter was evident. He knew that her ability to think differently could one day transform industries beyond engineering. The experience also transformed the way the engineers approached their work. They began to embrace new ideas, experiment more boldly, and listen to voices they might have previously ignored. For Miguel and Sophia, it reinforced the value of teamwork, observation, and open-mindedness. The engine's success was more than a technical breakthrough. It symbolized hope, creativity, and the power of seeing the world through a fresh perspective. Sophia had learned a lesson that even the most challenging problems could be solved with patience, curiosity, and courage. After the engine's miraculous success, the laboratory was transformed. Engineers who had once been frustrated and weary now approached challenges with renewed enthusiasm. Sophia and Miguel became frequent visitors, consulted not just for technical solutions, but for their unique perspective on problems that seemed impossible. The lab's culture shifted, valuing curiosity, observation, and collaboration alongside formal expertise. Sophia's insights proved that innovation was not only about knowledge or expensive tools, it was about attention to detail, persistence, and a willingness to question assumptions that everyone else took for granted. Sophia's role in the project drew attention beyond the engineering community. Journalists, scientists, and even inventors from other industries reached out, curious about her approach to problem solving. They asked how someone so young could see what professionals had missed. Sophia always answered simply. She observed carefully, asked questions, and never assumed she already knew the answer. Her humility and dedication inspired people of all ages, reminding them that solutions often hide in plain sight, waiting for someone brave enough to notice them. Meanwhile, Miguel's life changed in subtle but profound ways. He had always been a talented mechanic, but now his skills were recognized on a much larger scale. Invitations to consult on high-profile projects began arriving, but he remained grounded, insisting that he and Sofia continue learning and experimenting together. He knew the real lesson wasn't in fame or money, it was in nurturing curiosity and encouraging others to see the world differently. Every success became an opportunity to teach Sofia the importance of patience, collaboration, and kindness. The impact of Sofia's insight went far beyond the lab. The engine she helped perfect became a revolutionizing efficiency and performance milestone in automotive innovation. Companies that had struggled for years began incorporating the design principles she had highlighted. Her approach influenced training programs, emphasizing observation, creative thinking, and asking questions over following routine procedures. Engineers and inventors everywhere began to recognize the importance of fresh perspectives, no matter the age or background of the person offering them. For Sofia, the experience solidified a lifelong passion for discovery. She continued working with her father, constantly exploring new machines, engines, and mechanical puzzles. Their workshop became a hub of creativity, where learning, experimentation, and problem-solving were intertwined. Sofia's confidence grew, but she remained humble, always giving credit to her father and the engineers who had welcomed her ideas. Her journey became a symbol of what could be achieved when curiosity, mentorship, and determination came together. Years later, the father-daughter duo was celebrated worldwide. Conferences, awards, and speaking engagements followed. Yet Miguel and Sofia never lost sight of what mattered most: the joy of discovery and the power of teamwork. Their story inspired countless young minds to pursue science and engineering, proving that no dream is too ambitious and no mind too young to make a difference. The lesson was clear: sometimes the most transformative solutions come from those willing to see the ordinary in extraordinary ways. In the end, the failed billion-dollar engine became more than just a technical achievement. It became a story of trust, creativity, and the power of a curious mind. Miguel and Sofia had shown the world that innovation could emerge from unexpected places, and that mentorship, encouragement, and bold thinking could unlock potential that others had overlooked. Their legacy continued to inspire engineers, inventors, and dreamers alike, proving that with observation, courage, and teamwork, even the most impossible challenges could be overcome. This completes your story in part 2, 600 words, maintaining the professional style, 100-word paragraphs, and strong narrative suitable for a YouTube script. If you want, I can now create 10 AI image prompts tailored to both part 1 and part 2, perfect for thumbnails, B-roll, and visuals for your video. It will make your YouTube content visually stunning.